In recent years, the thoroughbred industry has made tremendous strides in caring for horses once they reach the end of their racing careers. The aftercare movement has made a huge impact on the lives of thousands of horses all over the country, including here in Maryland and the Mid-Atlantic. But what about the people who care for the horses during their careers? What happens to those people when they reach the end of their working lives? Unfortunately, all too often, the answer is they fall through the cracks. Our guest today on Midlantic Racing Today, Maryland Racing Today, two folks who have started a group called Stable Footing to help some of these backstretch employees, former backstretch employees who may have fallen through the cracks, to help them kind of get back on their feet and get back on the right track. Scott Regan, Cathy Rosenberger are going to join me in a minute and tell me about their new group, Stable Footing, and the work that it's doing and the lives that it's impacting. My name is Frank Vespi. This is Midlantic Racing Today and Maryland Racing Today. Maryland Racing Today, powered by the Racing Biz, the racingbiz.com, presented by our friends at the Maryland Jockey Club. Let's bring in Scott and Cathy. Scott, Cathy, good morning. Thanks for joining me. I want to start you guys with this question. Who is James Alphonsus Williams?
He was a groom at all the Maryland tracks. And some of the time I remember he worked for King Leatherberry. And one of his little trademarks was when he ran a horse, he wore a suit and a fedora. And the suits probably came from Goodwill. And then part of the time, I think he was security for a little bit. He just stayed at the racetrack his entire life. And Bobby Lillis gave us a heads up for a well check for Pimlico. And we discovered at 85 years old, he was in a tack room and it was deplorable. Covered with bed bugs, no teeth, banned from the kitchen, no clothes, just what he was wearing. So we stepped in, and through the chaplain, we got power of attorney and got clothes at Goodwill and other Walmart and so forth, and towels and soap. And the other guys put him in the shower, got him cleaned up. We took him to Carroll County Hospital. He was 85. He lived there for a week. He had good care, but he just didn't make it. But he fell asleep in his bed, clean, with dignity, flirting with the nurses. Couldn't stop thanking us for what we did. So, and his last wishes were have his ashes scattered at Bowie Racetrack, and we did that. So he had a happy ending from a long, long life at the track.
How does this happen? How does a guy like this fall through the cracks like that?
Well, I looked into the system. We were trying to help jockey Tommy Cuffer get some false teeth. He has no teeth. He lives alone in Rehoboth, Delaware. And so we started digging into what we could do to help him, what the track could do. And I found out as long as he worked there, he doesn't qualify. And the more I dug into it, I found that he has to be an active backstretch employee. He has to work at least 6 months before he qualifies for some of the backstretch aids that they have. And they actually have a quite impressive list of doctors and eye care and dental and prescription, and they have a van. But he's in the middle of, he's not working anymore, and he didn't qualify for anything. We went to the Horseman's Assistance Fund and just hit a wall. So we've been helping Tommy on our own and several other people for a year. And the more we help people, the more we find there's more. And word of mouth. Plus, I've been running a reunion for 6 years. And a lot of the old timers come. And then we hear about other people that are in need of different things. And it just has come to light that there's this gap between when they no longer can work on the track. They have to have a active Maryland jockey license, picture badge. And they have to be employed on the track by a trainer on the payroll for 6 months or more.
Scott, how'd you used to train up till 2001, so you're one
Yes.
of the sane ones. You escaped. But how did you come, sort of back into this?
Well, the hardest part for me with the racetrack period was leaving. I never planned on it, but it obviously, to me, became inevitable that it was going to have to happen. And I waited for personal reasons, family reasons, and whatnot. But when the time was right, I was ready to move because I had known for years I was going to leave. I just hadn't said it to anyone. I didn't want to broadcast that. So you kind of fast forward a little bit. For 25 years, I've been gone. And honestly, for close to 20 of those years at least, I had virtually no contact with 95% of the people there. I left. It was so hard to leave. I didn't say goodbye. I wished I could have, but I'd still be there saying goodbye to people. Because and this is wandering away a little bit, but just to really give you the backstory as to why this is so important to me is because I got there when I was 18 years old and fresh out of high school, and I went to work there and lived there. So I was all in from the very beginning, and the people that I met along the way, and being the youngest, nobody was younger than me. I mean, they couldn't have been. They were still in school. These people were like cartoon characters, some of them, in that they were just so different. But the one thing that so many of them had was heart and kindness and empathy. And I couldn't believe where I saw that, because there were people that were living in a tack room that were literally $100 to $100, week to week, and they didn't have anything as people on the outside of the racetrack have things. They own nothing, but boy, did they have pride, and they cared. And you learn early on at the racetrack that it's kind of like a family, and you don't necessarily get along with all of them. I wasn't friends with everybody. I'm sure there were guys that hoped I didn't walk by, and that was fine. I mean, no one's going to get along with everybody, but I had total respect for everybody, because we were all at Bowie when it was freezing cold, minus 10 degrees on a Super Bowl Sunday. I don't remember which one, but it was at least minus 10. We were all there. We were all working, like might as well have been 70. And we were all there, on Thanksgiving morning and Easter morning. And it becomes a fraternity, and you look out for one another. I mentioned in the write-up about the loose horse thing that I'm leaning on, but it was because you learned that everybody came running to help someone else, and they didn't even know who the other person was that was hurt. They just knew they had to help. And that is a bond that stuck with me that I'd never seen in any other form of groups of people that I either grew up with or subsequently, after I left the racetrack, worked around. It's so rare. And as I found out about probably 2 or 3 years ago, I guess I found out the very beginnings of where this snafu was for people. There is a retirement plan that Mr. Ryan from Ryan Holmes family set up back in, I think it's early to mid 80s, somewhere in there. And you'd sign up and you'd bring your tax return. You'd sign up, or your W-2, and they'd give you up to $2,000 that would go into an account that would, like a retirement account. It was really cool. And of course, on the backside, half the people were getting paid in cash. So they had no stubs with holdings or anything like that. They were just, that's how it was in the 80s and in the 90s. A lot of guys did it like that. So the people, remember, are week to week, a lot of them. And those that were, really didn't care about a retirement when they got older, and having federal and state tax taken out. They were interested in getting $100 so they could live for a week, right? I mean, so long story short, either you didn't qualify for it or you barely qualified for it. And a lot of them in its infancy, just people didn't even sign up. They kind of shrugged their shoulders and didn't know what it was. Well, we fast forward now, that's like if I'm not mistaken, it's $10,000 a year. Everyone's well aware of it. It's a different era that we all live in now. But in the 80s, in a group of people that weren't that aware of all of these things, it was blown off. Now these people are no longer eligible to work, or barely can work. So they have fallen off of the MTHA's radar. They cannot help subsidize them in any way, shape, or form with, doctors, dentists, and so forth. And so where do these people go? Well, I know some of them have migrated up towards Charlestown, and I think they still probably work around the track or on a farm or wherever they are. And I will look into that more in the near future. But there's no money out there for them. There's no means. There's Social Security checks. People are getting, most of them that I know of are getting about $1,000 a month. Well, I'm pretty sure that's about the minimum that Social Security is going to give somebody.
Right.
And how do you live in today's world with $1,000 a month? And you don't, is the answer. So MTHA can't help them, and they do a fabulous job with whom they can. But it's like a snafu. It's just this group of people that are probably age 70 to 85 that are really in a pickle. And maybe there are some that are in their 60s now. I really stick with what I'm sure of, which is what I knew when I first started, because it was easy to remember everybody's age. They were all older than me, like I said. So that's what has made me move forward as I have started to see these people and realize the situations they were in. And then oftentimes, as Cathy knows, they're not in that bad a shape, but they don't know how to finagle through things that they do own and assets that they do have in order to make it better for themselves. Things like credit card debt. Well, nobody had credit cards in 1975 and 1978 on the backside. Everybody was out of pocket. So now if somebody's going to find a credit card, the first thing they're going to do is run it up and not be able to pay for it. And then they're going to get stuck with the $60 a month for the rest of their life at 29% interest. And it's a terrible existence. So that's the idea behind this. We need to fix this.
One little problem is the ones that do qualify for Social Security don't know how to get it. They need either an address or a bank account. That's the only way Social Security is going to give you your money. So Bobby Lillis helped some people set up a bank account, and it was a direct deposit. Otherwise, they don't know what to do.
Zero, right?
They get zero. They don't know what to do. So, and James Williams, when he died, he had $6,500 in a bank account and $900 cash on him.
And that's doing great, because we're running into people that have not a fifth of that, but have, debt, a credit card debt, an old car that they can't replace. They can't go into further debt, and they're stuck. Or they own a house, and they're maybe still paying on that house because they've gotten mortgages along the way, and whatnot. But now they are stuck where they have equity in that home, but no bank will re-up because on paper they can't afford to make the payment. So they're in this rut where, let me see your income. Okay, here's my income. Here's the value of my house. I see you have $250,000 in there, but we can't help you get to that. And so they're stuck with no money, poor health, frustrated.
Even Mr. Williams, he had money, but he didn't know what to do with it.
He didn't know what to do with it.
He had money on him and didn't know what to do with it, and had money in his bank account, but because Social Security was putting it in there, but then he didn't know what to do with it. So he needed help.
So let me ask you this. Like you said, he was living in a tack room with no clothes, other than what he had. I mean, when you say he didn't know what to do with his money, I would think a lot of people hearing that story would say, well, why not buy some clothes, get an apartment, So what happened there?
It sounds really good, but they've lived at the racetrack for 65 years and it's all they know. They don't know how to go out and find an apartment or even leave the tack room. Basically, he wasn't allowed in the kitchen anymore. People were bringing him food for what he could eat, but he had no teeth, so that was an issue. But he didn't know what to do. The racetrack is kind of shelters these people. They can leave home from Camden, South Carolina on a van going north to New York for racing season. And they can move around the country for free by riding a van and go from track to track and meet a lot of new people and tell stories and play cards and, but they're sheltered really. They're not worldly. A lot of them, very small education, 5th grade, that sort of thing. They don't write letters home. A lot of times the folks at home have passed away. So they've been at the racetrack for their lives. And they don't know how to orchestrate moving forward.
So you're really talking, it seems like it's about a really vulnerable population, like people who may not be well educated, may be distant from family, may not have any family, probably never made a lot of money anyway. And, Scott, you mentioned this are in many cases different. Some of them may have demons that they're wrestling with.
Yes.
There may be substance issues in some cases.
Absolutely.
So you're
learning disabilities, all those various things that are at the forefront now. But when I was a kid in the 60s and the 70s, we were slow. If you weren't, you're just a weirdo. A whole lot. Yeah, right. You're a weirdo. You're slow. You're just dumb. No, you're not. So many things are recognized in today's world that weren't recognized then, and this is not who these backstretch people are, because some of these people are. I mean, I had hot walkers that were brilliant. I had a hot walker that spoke fluent Mandarin. I mean, he was brilliant, but he didn't get along with society so well. He was reclusive and so forth. But the guy wasn't short on smarts. He was absolutely smarter than anybody there. And, brain smart, but probably struggled to take care of himself, that type of thing.
They don't fit in. They just don't fit in with society.
And of course, there's others that are absolutely fine. And I don't want to paint it like this is a group of people that are all a mess, because that's not at all true. I mean, that's a subset of people that we're talking about, a small subset. A majority of these people were just at the racetrack for 50 years. And things don't change like the world changes over 50 years on the backside. Right. Backside changes much slower than that. And when you're back there for 50 years and you work every single day, you don't have much time to learn about the other worldly things. I think very few of the racetrackers go home at night and watch the World News Report or read the New York Times or that's just not how this works. So as a result, you have a vast groupings of people. Some are brilliant, some struggle socially, others just don't know any other way. So many different things, and some of them that are just stuck, like I said, with a house that's worth $600,000, but they owe $250,000, but they're not making enough income to be able to refinance their house. And so, what do you do with that?
Right.
And that's sad because they're 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 smart, they're good, honest people, and I was at a loss when I started seeing it, and then it became an avalanche to me. And then as I saw that the MTHA was had them ineligible, um, not that I'm judging that. I understand that they have a job to do, and they do great. I have nothing but respect for what they've done, but there is a subset out there that's in bad shape, and I just know darn well that we can do something about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take a village, as I wrote. It's going to take a lot of people doing what they can, and we've gotten already so many things that we've seen. Like, we want to help. Tell me how I can help? Now, they don't necessarily have monetary help, but they're dying to volunteer. They're dying to do whatever it takes to help, and that is the closeness that it goes unspoken on the racetrack. Goes right back to the loose horse phrase. You holler loose horse right at the finish line when everyone's watching on TV in the clubhouse or where a lot of the horsemen watch TV, and then just watch the reaction. Just, you'd be amazed, because 4/5 of them will turn at you with their eyes on fire. Where? They'll jump like that fast. They all of a sudden the race doesn't matter. Where? And they're all looking around to go to help. Well, now to me, some of them are loose horses. We all need to run and help. And it doesn't always take just money. I think it takes effort and compassion. I think it takes caring and just to be a friend. And these people were just too good to me. They're the kindest across the board group of people, whether I got along with them or not. Didn't matter. But everybody cared. And when you spend enough Easter mornings and Christmas days and Thanksgiving mornings with these people, you realize that you're really all doing the same thing and you're a family. So that's why after 25 years, I'm coming back not to do anything with the horses, but to do something hopefully for this subset of people. Then in about 12 years or 15, it won't matter, because we'll mostly all age out, by then.
Mm-hmm. So you guys have created this group, Stable Footing, and it sounds like part of what it's going to do is help these people, the subset of people, financially, but it also sounds like a big part of it's going to be guidance, assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
A listening ear,
as much as financially. I mean, it's not like we just want, this is not a money grab or let's just throw money at a problem. This is try to help people have a better understanding. And if it takes some money to get them out of a hole, sure. But more so than that, let's get them on stable footing. Let's get them with a quality of life that they deserve after 50 years of dedicated service to the racetrack and to all those horses that ran.
We also have a good friend, Gunnar Lindberg, who is the head of the same type of organization in Canada. So we've been communicating with him. They've been doing it for years, helping backstretch people, just like we're trying to do. But they took it to a new level. They had fundraisers, golf tournaments, a lot of things. And he said it's all well known in Canada that people in trouble just reach out to the organization, and then the organization decides what kind of help they need.
Yeah. We were unaware of that totally, but now that we know Gunnar has done it and whatnot, he's a good friend. He rode in Maryland in the 70s, late 70s, maybe into early 80, I guess. I don't know. But then he went up to Canada, and but Gunnar's a great guy, and he'll help us quite a bit. He already said he would, by just giving us advice, and things like that, guidance. So we're hopeful.
How many people do you guys have a sense of how many people need this sort of assistance?
If I had to guess, I'd probably say 300 or 400.
Wow, that many. Okay.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Maybe it's less, because I don't know if some of these people are still alive or not. I don't know, but I've never been on Facebook a day in my life until like right about January. And Cathy prodded me to get on and just take a look. And all I did was take a look, and all these people that my gosh, they either worked with me, when I had horses, or they worked in the barn next door, or whatever they were. I knew so many names that I haven't seen that are not in Maryland anymore, but they're around. They're, like I said, they're up around Charlestown or wherever they are. But I would say that there's at least 300, and
wow,
we're just going to do them one at a time.
That's a big number. Yeah,
it is a big number, but that number will only decline, right?
Yeah,
as we get older, it's unfortunately and that's the idea. Let's just get them. Let's not get them propped up and perfect. Let's get them on stable footing, stable ground, comfortable, happy, and know somebody is there. And that's half the battle, is just knowing that if there's a problem in 6 months, they can pick up the phone or email and ask somebody something. And between Cathy and I and Bobby and this unbelievable group of people that I've come to be friends with again on Facebook, all of which were on the backside with Cathy and I every morning, whether I was a trainer or back when I was a hot walker and groom, whatever. They all want to help like it was back then, just like it's another day in the 70s.
We've identified people that we're just keeping track of. Like Bill Humphrey was a groom for many, many years and successful. And now he's had his legs amputated. And he's in a group home for, I guess, the state of Maryland. And we visited him there. Yeah. We offered to buy him a computer or a tablet to help entertain himself. And he declined. He said, I just don't want to learn all that stuff. But he loves to read. And he's in a home with about 7 men. But I call, and we also get him to the reunion, that's the highlight of his year. Yep. Our 4 hours in Laurel in April. And I just talked to him 2 days ago just to check in. And so sometimes he doesn't need anything except a phone call just to say, how you doing? And he wants to hear the news, what's going on, because he's not on Facebook either. He can't do that. So he just likes to be caught up with what's going on, that sort of thing. So there's some folks like that we're just keeping an eye on them.
The people
just letting them know they're not alone. Yeah. They were part of that group.
Yeah. We're speaking with Scott Regan and Cathy Rosenberger of Stable Footing on Midlantic Racing Today, Maryland Racing Today. Cathy, you, I know you ponied for Bud Delp, you ponied Spectacular Bid, among others. And I think a lot of people who are, maybe not immersed in the industry would think, okay, well, if you're around horses like that, you should be all set. But turns out the most famous groom of all, Eddie Sweat, who was Secretariat's groom, died penniless, basically. So what I guess what's the message? What's the message to the world outside the racing bubble about this?
Well, I guess people I worked with can't manage their money, or actually honing horses. When I worked, it was $3 in the morning to take a horse once around and $10 in the afternoon. You had to buy your own pony, your own tack, buy your own feed, blacksmith, groom, and transportation. There's not much left. I mean, it's a paycheck to paycheck kind of grind. And we work 6 days a week, 9 races during the week, 10 on Saturday. So you had an opportunity to, to at least make some money. Now, I don't know how they're doing it. They have to have second jobs. And I looked around at some of the old timers when I was 40, Sis Tamero, a few other ones, and I thought, oh my God, and that what I'm going to look like? So I said, I have to get out of here. And at 40, Bill Passmore and I made through a little agreement. We left on the same day we left in a blaze of glory. He went on to be a steward, and I went on to be a real estate agent. And Scott is one of my clients, and we reconnected, and he's building houses, and I had some listings. I retired now, but so my second career, I'm very comfortable, so that's, so that's the nice thing about our organization is we don't need anything. We don't have any admin fees. Nobody's on salary. We're all just volunteers contributing our time, and all the money that we will collect will go toward helping the people that need help.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes me feel good that we
Frank,
don't
one
need
thing
it.
that I didn't mean to interrupt you, Cathy. I'm sorry. Just one thing I'll inject into that is it's different today than it was then. In that there are grooms that are over there now that have $100,000 or more in that retirement account, and it's building. It's however it's invested for them, it's building, and that's a game changer. Plus, the wages are much better than they were. Of course, inflation's much higher, and I get all that, but still, it hasn't gone backwards. But it was backwards when I came. It was, my first week, I worked 7 days a week, sun up to sundown, and I grossed $70. That was it. 63 something was my paycheck. I think it was, or 58, whatever it was. And that was my full-time job. Now I did have a place to live for free, but many a week.
Not a lot of money.
What a lot.
I remember King Leatherberry. He wasn't at the track very much. He trained from his desk in his home.
Yeah.
But when he'd open his trunk and he had a briefcase, and it was piles of 1s, 5s, 10s, 20s. And almost every day was a draw day. And the grooms would line up, the help would line up, and he would dole out cash. And that's all I ever saw was cash. And one time Linda Leatherberry told me that they had set aside something for the help's retirement, but I don't know, I kind of left the track for a while, so I don't know whatever happened with that part of it. But so they have no record, no Social Security, nothing, they got cash. And so whether they really helped them, I don't know. But
it is so much different.
They live draw day to draw day, not even Saturday to Saturday pay.
That's right.
They live draw day to draw day, just enough to go bet a few horses and get a pork chop dinner.
You had payday and draw day.
And many
2 days a week you could get money. And
when I ponied, out of town trainers would come in, and you go to collect your $10 when the horse is being saddled, and they go, "Oh, sorry, I don't have change for 100." That was so.
Oldest trick in the book.
I carried cash, 100 to break that. I carried small bills to break that 100. I said, "Oh, no problem. I have it right here." Well, the other thing was, as I moved through the backstretch doing my daily work, or at the end of the day, grooms would come up to me and ask for 5 or 10 to get some dinner. And so I became sort of known as the banker, and nobody ever stiffed me.
Really?
Not one time.
No. Not back
They
there.
knew I had cash, and they knew where it was.
Yeah. One of the back on Eddie Sweat for a second, he was quoted in something I just read saying, "I ain't never going to give up. I think they'll take me to my grave with a pitchfork in my hand and a rub rag in my pocket," which is an evocative quote. But it strikes me, you're talking in some sense of population that had to continue working, but I think that, a lot of trainers get to the, pretty much die with when the last horse leaves the barn. I mean, it seems like a lot of people in the industry want to be around to the very end, not just have to, but
no,
they love being there.
They don't want to leave. No.
You can't make them leave sometimes. You can take them to a nursing home, get them all set up. They escape and come back. That's happened.
in some of these cases, Frank, the how do I put this? As society has grown, those that have been on the backside haven't necessarily grown at the same pace. So in a lot of their minds, after doing something for 40 years back there, you're pretty set in your ways, and ways are set in their ways. Things don't change on the racetrack that much, and you get stuck mentally in a time zone almost. I mean, it's hard to explain, but easy to see if you're trying to.
Yeah,
they just aren't as educated and as in tune. I mean, most of them couldn't.
I think
work
I
a cell phone if they got one.
I sort of fit that category. Ponying horses.
We all do to some degree. Yeah, I'm terrible.
And I'm like, I'm getting old, you know. The racetrack for being I figure I rode 3,000 miles a year on a horse, you know, and some of them weren't all that comfortable. But so, and then I'm like, what can I do at 40? So, you know, I worked for one trainer that built houses. His name was Ron Ledoux. He was a really small guy, but he was building some homes, and I liked that part of it. And so I went to work for him, you know, at a real estate office. But I didn't know anything. I showed up every day. I worked hard, and I was honest. And the first month, I was top producer because I didn't know any better. I just worked hard.
Right.
So I'm glad I left at 40, because the older you get, the harder it is to transition into some other completely different career.
When you both left in your 40s, right?
Yeah, as it turned out, yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask, Stable Footing is a good name, but it wasn't your top choice. Talk about how you landed on Stable Footing.
Maybe Cathy can add to this pretty simply.
So many names, and hero in the name, and stable.
Yeah.
And,
I was hoping for hero. I was stuck on hero.
We ran into a wall where so many of the horse aftercare programs around the country had already taken the names we were trying to use, and we just kept hitting. You know, it's already taken. So we were surprised. I mean, I know about aftercare programs. There's in Maryland, Maggie Wolfendale on Naira, on, you know, when she's on camera, she's very passionate about an aftercare program in New York. She promotes it a lot. So we just kept running into already taken. And
Correct.
That's how we just kept chipping away at it. And then we had different logos we designed and everything. And then we decided a horse and a groom, just a silhouette, simple. You know, we thought about a picture of a horse and different things. But I think that logo has its own message.
Yeah. It's sort of, what's the word I want? I don't know what the word I want is, but it tells a tale in a sense that you had this difficulty getting to a name that wasn't already taken by a horse aftercare group, because the industry's done, to its credit, a huge amount over the last 15 or so years
they sure
to
have.
improve aftercare for the thoroughbreds, which is great.
It's great.
But then as you say, you have the subset of people. You know, it's kind of like, what about the people who care for the horses when they're racing? And some of them are falling through the cracks. And
I might add also, I'm involved with a permanently disabled jockey fund from way back. And that has just exploded with fundraisers and just, you know, a lot of the jockeys do a lot of events, you know, signature events, promoting things. It's huge. And currently there's 60 jockeys that are injured in some way, mostly paralyzed, that get $1,000 a month to help. And then there's a lot of other things they do too, with converting their house wheelchair accessible, maybe a vehicle. There's just a lot of things going on, and it's really huge. I've talked to the president of it, Nancy LaSalle, at length, and how they got started and how she's gotten involved. Her husband was a jockey, and so I'm really impressed. So we need, so we have the horses, retirement, the jockeys that are injured, and now we're focusing on the backstretch, which seems to have kind of fallen through the cracks.
Yeah, well, the thing is that the backstretch won't hopefully always need as much help, in my opinion, as they do right now.
Mhm.
Because again, this is a subset of people. This is a generation of people.
Mhm.
The people that are there now have many, many more opportunities, just because it took longer for the racetrack to adapt to the needs and what people really need and want or have to have as they get older. So we all live and learn with this thing. But I
Mhm.
do know that our group, I just see too many of them that should be in a better place. They should be more comfortable. They're not broke. They're not stupid. They're not any of these things. They're just stuck, and they just need to find stable footing, which I I credit a very good longtime friend of mine, Nancy Hillnet, who said, I ran like 4 or 5 of them by her, and she went, this one, you got to do this one. This one's great. Well, I didn't know it was great, but the more she says it's great, I think she's right. And then Cathy loved it, and everybody seems to love it. So thank you, Nancy.
Yeah.
Between text, emails, back and forth. When I
Yeah.
saw that one, I said, "That's it. That's it. Stop right here. That's the one that has the message on it. It's everything we need."
I this is a pretty basic question that I should have asked before. Are you focused just primarily on people who worked in Maryland?
Well, we have to start somewhere. And
Mhm.
so the answer is, as of today, yes. But I know people in Charlestown. I know trainers that are my age or close to it up at Monmouth Park. I know a good dear friend of
Yeah.
mine, Tony Dutrow, is up in New York.
Mhm.
And because I was a Dutrow through and through. That's the only guy I ever worked for. And I met him and both of his brothers, Rick and Chip, who were just a few years younger than me, and now they're all up in New York. So I've looked into New York. They have something going on up there. They have a couple of owners with just lots of money and a bigger heart, both of them, and they are
Well,
really pouring it in on a lot of that. But I hope that this will reach out to Charlestown, because there are people that were under my employ that I know are up there now. So
Mhm.
that's my next trip, is to drive up. But whether they like it or not, I hope they listen. Because Ronnie Brown, I'm gonna come see you, and Jeff Runco, we know one another very well, and I'm gonna come see him. And I think those
well,
two guys, Jeff Galeas, Denver Beckner is the head steward up there.
Yep.
So at least I know I can get in the gate. And once I get in the gate, I'll talk to
well,
these
and
guys, and they're good guys. Every one of them are great.
Yeah.
And I hope that they join in, jump in, do their own, so to speak, any way they want. I just want to see this subset of people be taken care of, because they took care of you. If you needed had a problem, needed the help, they were there, no questions asked. So
Mary
sorry.
Lou Whitney in Saratoga has developed, she's passed away, an incredible backstretch support system. They have a medical building. They have daycare. They have daycare for the
Yeah.
workers. It just goes on and on. During the Saratoga summers, every night they had an event, either learning to speak English, a movie, a free dinner. It never stopped. I mean, she was so dedicated to that group of people, the backstretch people in New York and Saratoga.
Yeah, correct. If I can add one quick thing to that too, I don't mean to dismiss all of the current workers and the younger workers, that are on the backside, I certainly would love to see this trickle down, and anything that would be worthwhile to do with them. One thing that I had mentioned to the MTHA when I was in talks with them about possibly joining with them before I realized that they really weren't in this subset of people was I had an idea that and I think they do this to some degree, I don't know what, that a lot of them are Spanish, and so a lot of them don't know English that well. You pay them to go to school and learn math and learn English and learn how to manage a credit card, learn how to have a bank account, the basics. And that can be done. That's just not that hard. You pay them to go to school, and you do that by saying you got to get a 90 or a 95, whatever a teacher that would know better than me, on your final exam, and we'll give you $500. And this fund or MTHA, some fund, should be able to fund that, because when that guy leaves or that girl leaves and they get their 500 or 1,000 or whatever the number is, they'll know what to do with that money. They won't go to the track and start betting $20 a race or go get a 6-pack. No, they're going to take that money and they're going to do something smart with it, whatever that might be, to help them. So it's a win-win. It's improving society. But I can't do it for the people that are there now, plus all the older ones. So we're going to start with the ones we know. Yeah. And I'm hoping that this has a massive trickle-down effect. Yeah. And the MTHA does do it eventually, and we'll see.
Our last reunion, we were setting up. The people hadn't come yet, and a man came in. I didn't know. At least I didn't think I knew. And he walks up to me. He says, "I want to thank you." I thought, for what? So it turned out it was jockey Greg Smith. And when he was a bug boy, just starting to ride, doing well, I said, "Open a retirement account. From my pony, I'm giving advice." I did that to a lot of them. Some listened, some didn't. But he listened, and he said over the years, he's added to it, and now he's going to be retiring from the camera. And he said, "I'm going to be very comfortable, and I want to thank you for that." So even way before Scott and I started this, it's just my nature. And also, I did, when I was still at the racetrack, I went to H&R Block and learned how to do taxes. So I started doing a lot of the backstretch people, not a lot, but I mean, a fair amount. And the other thing back then, I would do their taxes, and they say, "Make me an extra copy." And I didn't really get what they were talking about. The extra copy goes to the Horseman's Fund. And then once you turn in your tax return, then you're in the system for your retirement there. So they would always get an extra copy of their tax return. And at that point, I was leaving the track. So I never was in on that retirement thing, but then I learned what they were doing, and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. There's something going on for them. So, yeah, so that's part of that helped my transition into selling real estate too. Working with strangers, doing numbers, that sort of thing. Because once I took the course, I went to work for H&R Block. So I was in the office during tax season, and people are coming in that I don't know. So that helped to get over because when you're at the racetrack, you're very comfortable in your own job with your own people every day. You don't interact much with the public.
The world at large.
Except on Preakness Day, and that's when everybody over the fence was drinking, and we had a really good time. That went on all afternoon. We would mingle with them. We're on the pony. We're enjoying the sights from the track side. They're enjoying the racing from their side, but we just enjoyed watching them progress during the afternoon, getting really smashed.
Oh yeah, some of that happens, that's for sure. Actually, years ago, I was at the Preakness with my nephew, who was like 5 at the time, and a very drunk young woman was quite taken with my 5-year-old nephew, how cute he was. And when she walked away, he turned to me and said, "She was really drunk." Anyway, all right. Well, good stuff here. Stable Footing is the name of the group. They do have a 501c3, which means that donations, which they're not quite ready to take yet, but when they are, will be tax deductible. How do people get in touch with Scott Regan and Cathy Rosenberger and Stable Footing?
I suppose for right now, they would have to email me, or they could call me. And that's probably goes the same with Cathy, just for a few more weeks, just until we can get all of the paperwork totally in hand and have all this set up so that I can immediately give receipts worthwhile to anybody that wants to donate. And that would probably be the best way to do that.
And we're also going to set up a Venmo or, PayPal.
Yeah, Zelle, whatever we need to do. We're going to get several ways in which to do that directly on a website, which we're also working on at the same time, so that all of that's up and running as soon as we are legal, totally legal, which will be about, again, 2 or 3 weeks, maybe, hopefully less.
Okay, so what I was hoping to hear there is an actual email address or actual phone number. So
I'm happy to give mine.
Watches and listens and wants to get in touch, they can. So go ahead.
Sure. My email address is S like Scott and T like Tom and Regan, Regan, and the number 4 at gmail.com.
Okay. ST Regan.
Let me go out on a limb. I'll give you my cell phone number as well, and hope it doesn't go too crazy. But anybody that's calling, I welcome the call. It's 301-672-4819. If I don't pick up, please leave a message.
Okay, and my email is CATHYROSEN, the number 6 at gmail.com. My phone number is 301-346-5109. So,
all right, there you have it. Ways to get in touch with Scott and Cathy and Stable Footing. And the Stable Footing itself will be on more stable footing in a couple of weeks when got a website and got all your I's dotted and T's crossed. But it's important work that they're doing to really care for a group of people who gave a lot to the industry and now need a little something back to get kind of over the hump. So good stuff. Scott, Cathy, thanks so much for joining me here on Midlantic Racing Today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Frank. Appreciate the opportunity.
Really good stuff there from Cathy Rosenberger and Scott Regan of Stable Footing. A really important effort. Encourage folks to reach out to them if you'd like to be of assistance or need assistance. Either one, they'd welcome either kind of contact. So they gave you their contact info at the end. It's a really worthwhile effort that they're doing. So good stuff there. Quickly, this weekend in Maryland at Laurel Park, we got 2 stakes on Saturday, as well as several Maryland Million starter allowance contests. So looking forward to all that. The 2 stakes are the Jamila for the fillies and mares and the Ben's Cat for the boys. Both of them are state restricted. The Jamila looks like Bougie Bubbles probably going to be the favorite there. She has won her last 2 sprinting on the turf and 3 of her last 4. Took a 2 other than allowance May 16th. Also going to see Big Earn in there. Big Earn just won a Maryland restricted allowance pretty impressively by a couple lanes. Got a big buyer speed figure of 88 for trainer Mike Trombetta. So those 2 probably going to take most of the action. I would think it's a pretty interesting group of horses. The Ben's Cat, it's a tough one, man. Got a defending champ When I Get to Heaven returns and certainly is a contender here. He just ran 3rd in the King T. Leatherbury Stakes back in April. That was won by the top 2 were Outlaw Kid and Chasing Liberty. They then ran 1-2 in reverse order in the Jim McKay Turf Sprint over Preakness weekend. So when I get to heaven, certainly a contender, but he's going to have to contend with, had to have him defeated when I get to heaven last year in the Maryland Million Turf Sprint by 3/4 of a length. Hasn't run too well in his 2 starts this year, but certainly has some talent there. And then there's the hard-hitting Witty creeping up on $1 million. He is also entered for Lizzie Merriman. Jaron Barbosa can ride. He has won a whole bunch of stakes over the years. He won this race a couple of years ago. Hasn't drawn into it. I guess that was back in 23. Hasn't drawn into it in the last couple of years, but does draw in here. So he is also cross-entered at Penn National. So we'll see what they choose to do with Witty. But if he goes here, he's obviously also going to be a major player. So that's Saturday at Laurel. Saturday 10-race program, including 6 of them on the green stuff on the turf. So should be a fun day of wagering, of horse racing, of fun day at the track. Always a fun day when you get to go to the races. As great Ernie Banks used to say, let's play 2. So good stuff there. This has been Midlantic Racing Today, Maryland Racing Today. Thanks to Scott Regan and Cathy Rosenberger for joining us earlier. Again, I commend the efforts that they're making and hope that people will try to participate, either if you need the assistance or you can provide assistance. They're looking for helpers. So good stuff there. Stable Footing, the name of their organization. We'll keep you posted on that organization and when you can find out more online and donate online, all that good stuff. We'll also have a feature about them on the racingbiz.com. Still to come this week, we'll a couple more episodes of Midlantic Racing Today, Charlestown races, Delaware Park, lots of good stuff going on. This has been Midlantic Racing Today. Please like and subscribe. My name's Frank Vespi. Have a great week, everybody. We'll catch you next time.